Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Season 3 of the Ready or Not podcast with Scott Woods. I am here at NDIA's NetInclusion Conference, wrapping up today here in Philadelphia, and we have a rock star panel with us today to talk about all things digital equity and inclusion. So I'm going to ask our panelists to introduce themselves, starting to the right. If you can introduce yourself, and we can get started.
I'm Patrick McGuire, Technology Equity Manager at the City of South Bend.
Christine Burkette, Director of Digital Equity for the City of Detroit.
Schill, Director of Research and Programs with NDIA.
Alonso Melendez, Digital Equity Coordinator at the City of Portland, Oregon.
And our Rockstar panel are also part of the 47 Trailblazer Award winners at this year's Net Inclusion Conference. And so, Patrick, I'm going to start with you. If you can just talk about what does digital inclusion and equity mean to you, and how much fun have you had here at Net Inclusion?
Yeah, it's been a really phenomenal conference thus far for Net Inclusion. This is my third Net Inclusion, which has been bigger and better than ever before. And for me, digital inclusion and digital equity really means the having the skills, the devices, the connectivity, and all of the access necessary to live fully online and to maximize online resources and to really participate fully in the modern economy, the modern world, and access healthcare, and really all that entails. And in South Bend, we've had a great year. Also excited to launch some new initiatives and continue the work, but it's been great learning a lot from the great folks here at NDIA and Net Inclusion.
Great. Thank you. Christine?
I think for me, I'm the baby of the bunch. I just started my role. It'll be a year next week with the City of Detroit. So this is a new perspective for me. I actually own a tech company. So looking at it from the perspective of serving people gives you a broader understanding of the impact. This has become a basic necessity and not just an ask. And I think that if more organizations, more municipalities, if the Senate, the governor, the government looked at it as a utility instead of an actual plus, like a service, an add-on service, I think they would understand it goes beyond just giving out, access to high-speed internet, giving someone a device. It's the tools that you need to understand how to utilize those things. It's one thing to have access to high-speed internet and a device, but if you still don't know how to utilize that, it's no measurement of how it impacts your life. So for me, I'm all about the front end and back end. We definitely need fiber across every urban and rural area, including the suburbs, but we also need training that's attached to these devices so that people understand how it will impact their lives.
Thank
you. One, you don't speak like a baby. You're very, very well informed, very intelligent. I appreciate your space in this work. For me, I think it means the same thing. It does mean people having access to technology and training, but also to the high-speed internet. Bad internet is like a bad sandwich. Like, no one wants that, and it ain't good for you. You know what I mean? So we need good high-speed internet for people to be able to stay connected. But I also like to think a little bit further ahead and think, let's get people those baseline skills, and let's get people that technology and that access to high-speed internet. But then how do we support upskilling them?
Yes.
How do we support people growing in technology, being able to make businesses or get into engineering or science? And so really thinking about how digital equity plays a part in that.
Yeah, absolutely. And Aaron, NDIA has been growing this now for several years. This is the largest to date.
By
right?
a lot,
By a lot. So let's talk about what's going on here this week and what has this week been like in terms of having all of these digital equity champions from all across the country here in Philadelphia.
So it's been amazing. So 1,300 people here this year. By comparison, last year we had 800 people, and that was the largest Net Inclusion, by double compared to every other year. So it is booming, and we're all going to go, like you said, it's the last day, we're going to go sleep for a few days, and then take stock of, I know I have so many follow-ups to do, so many people to talk to. It is wild how many new people that I've met this week. So it's been amazing. Kicked off Tuesday seems like
what's today?
A week ago. I know, right? But Tuesday, by far the most fun and most amazing reception that you all already hosted. The Trailblazer reception killed it. People are still talking about that. That is setting a bar that other people are going to have to try to meet. But Seeing all. I know.
Let's get that on the record.
We're going to have to start scouting places in the Phoenix area for next year. But yeah, I mean, seeing like almost all of the Trailblazer communities in the room together, and like how supportive everybody was. So every community we called up, like hearing the cheering and the support for one another. Not only is that inspiring, but it also is a great representation of what we see, on our calls and when we get to interact with communities. It really is like building a community of practice among local governments, which is my background. So it is really heartening to see. And, the local government space is what my team and what the Trailblazer program is about, but that gets replicated with Digital Navigator programs and with all the other aspects like the state cohort that we host and all the other aspects of our work. So it's great to see everyone in person, but it's just a reflection of like what we see every day and our privilege of being able to talk to folks all over the country doing this work.
And we were preparing for this when we do our shoe check. We were talking about metrics for success, right?
Yeah.
And wanting to advance causes of digital equity, access, and inclusion. We've deemed this the 2024 as the year of BEAD, but it's also the year of digital equity as well. So, Christine, what are metrics of success? And I know they vary by community, but how do you define them?
We start off with the baby in this conversation?
Absolutely.
Awesome. Okay, so...
You don't get to wear your newcomer badge again.
Ever
again. You got it this year.
That
you're no longer a newbie.
I know. So, and I want to say one is definitely an honor just to be recognized, being a new person in this space and being able to get recognized for the work that we do in Detroit. So, and I want to say it was a great opportunity just to add on to what you were saying before I answered Scott's question. I was able to network with New Jersey. New Jersey's going to talk to our data team. They want to duplicate some of the work that we're doing. Right. I was able to meet with some nonprofits who are going to work with us in the city of Detroit. So this has been really great for me because that's the reason why I came. I came here to network. So when you talk about really looking at how to track success, and I always look at it from a corporate perspective, I'm actually a corporate person, is return on investment. So for me, when you work in our space and people are giving you devices, they're giving you, hotspots, jetpacks, you're opening up all these tech centers, these computer labs. And one thing that I think for me is if I give you something, I need to know that you're going to utilize it. I want to know how you're going to utilize it so that then I can go to an investor, I can go back to my mayor, I can go back to my governor and say, hey, we've already, expensed all the dollars you've given us for senior basic digital literacy training. Is there any way you can extend us more because now we need to do cyber protection? So I think one of the things we need to understand is as technology grows, now we're in this AI perspective. Before that, people really didn't look at the metaverse, right? Which is really huge. The metaverse came before AI and the inventions of the avatar. But what's happened is our seniors started out when they just had typewriters. So now you're talking about a whole group of people who don't understand technology the way we do. I grew up on typewriters, but by the time I got to college, I had a little laptop, right? So there's a little difference. I'm telling my age a little bit, but that's okay. So the thing is, I think when you talk about tracking success, you need to put it into buckets. What you're going to track for K-12 is different in returning citizens, is different in seniors, is different for our disabled, our ESL community. And I'm such an advocate that when I look at things, I look at it through all those lenses. I never look at it as Christine looking how I service. And I always do focus groups. I have these focus groups that I've created, these little pockets. So when I get ready to launch something, I give it to them and I say, give me your feedback. Well, the feedback is always different. The seniors will say one thing, and then my little skateboard dudes, they're like, that's not what we need. So what I'm saying is when you look at measurables, you got to look at the population you're serving, the demographic, and the other thing is, more importantly, whether or not you're actually meeting the needs. I went to a panel, and by the way, you guys did a great job. There was a gentleman, Neil, who's a mayor, who's actually deaf. And when you look at all the work we do, how many of us are taking in consideration ASL?
Yeah.
That blew my mind that he was on that panel. And I said to him, thank you. I got his card. And he said, I'll share with you all the resources we have. Because guess what happened? When COVID hit, everything shut down. They were locked out. They had access. Yeah. They had access, but they were locked out because guess what? No one was signing for them. to work with them in that digital space. So I think those are all the things we need to think about as well. So those are measurables that we need to look at. And the biggest thing is IT workforce development, especially in the minority community. In the city of Detroit, we have less than 10% of the minority community in IT. My job is to introduce that to them. My first life, I started as a chemist. I was CIO of Detroit Public Schools. Now I'm working with the city of Detroit, and I have my own tech company. I'm not the norm, right? But it's my job to show them everyone's not going to be a CIO. Everyone's not going to code like me or be able to take computers apart and put them back together. But I can give you a skill set that you can grow and work, right? And I think that's what a measurable is for us.
Can I lift up
Absolutely.
City of Detroit, something that you guys are doing that I would encourage other cities to replicate too, like for your data, like measurement and understanding the impact you're having? Working with local community researchers is huge. So I have good buddies at Data Driven Detroit, and the fact that the city is working with a local nonprofit research organization is huge, and leveraging like resources like you all have at the national level, and then building on the wisdom that those local folks have is huge. And I would love to see more cities doing that.
I'm glad you said that, because D3 and Ready.net, they're actually our group, and we work with them on really collecting data. We found in this space that you really couldn't track return on investment because no one was looking at the data. I'm a data geek. I don't look like it, but I'm a straight data geek. So sitting down and working with Ready.net and D3, we think we're going to come out on top a lot further ahead than other municipalities, and we'll be able to show the return on investment on the work that we're doing there.
So let's talk about what's going on in Portland, and then we'll come to South Bend. But what does success look like in Portland, Oregon?
Yeah, so I mean, we do a lot of, like we do gather data, and oftentimes that data is like, how many devices did you give? How many classes did you offer? How many people got connected to the internet? And that's great, but that doesn't tell the whole story, right? Mm-hmm. So we got to dig a little deeper. So one thing that I've been doing lately is trying to go back to people 6 months after the fact, a year after the fact, to say like, how did it help? And if it didn't, why didn't it help? What were we missing? So being able to look at success in terms of like real life, how did it really impact them? What did it really give them? What were the tools that they received from that helped them move forward? Yeah. So that's something that we're doing right now, and we're actually working on putting together a dashboard that will have some of that data, have some of that information, have some of those stories. So the quantitative plus the qualitative in a way that's a little more holistic. Yeah.
That's great, because I know we do a lot, particularly from the federal government side. Everything is about that empirical data up front, counting numbers and widgets. What's really important when you're dealing with people is the quality. It's that qualitative data piece. Yeah. That's an ongoing, continuous data collection effort beyond just this device or this community or this group. You're really talking about impact. And then you start talking about economic impact and tracking quality of life indicators. And now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, 15 years from now, you're better able to evaluate the impact of those programs. So let's talk about South Bend. What's going on in South Bend?
Yeah, I first of all just want to commend everyone's data efforts. I think I'm taking a lot of mental notes and may follow up on some of those efforts. One thing I would love to share about South Bend's work, thinking especially of the community research partnerships in Detroit. We have a great partner in South Bend with the Notre Dame Wireless Institute in our backyard, and we've been focusing, in addition to some of the qualitative survey focused data gathering, we've been really interested in broadband performance, especially as we are preparing for these unprecedented levels of infrastructure investment. So we've been really interested in not just the levels of reported kind of broadband speeds, but especially what are people actually experiencing. Mm-hmm. So we've been spending a lot of time looking at home broadband performance as well as mobile cellular performance. The mobile side has been really exciting because it's all publicly available. You don't have to go into people's homes. We are doing some work to use sensors or speed test campaigns. I know Detroit's done some great work there to see what people's home internet looks like. But for mobile data, you can just use a phone, go around town,
drive around the city,
and gather data. And what we've used are actually our solid waste vehicles. They're a phenomenal city-owned resource that go at relatively slow speeds. That go everywhere, multiple times a month, at least once a week. And what we did is put phones for the major carriers in South Bend on our trash trucks, collecting thousands of speed tests throughout the city.
Smart.
That was really, really
Yeah,
smart.
that's super smart.
Thank you.
We are stealing that and telling everybody else to do
Best
that.
practice.
And it's been fascinating
Yes.
to really get a granular look at mobile data performance throughout the city. And for cities like South Bend, I'm sure very similar elsewhere, that we see about 10 to 15% of our residents rely exclusively on cellular data for their access to the internet. So we don't want to. We want to really focus on their experience, especially because those are often our low-income families. So making sure that we fill in where we can data gaps where they exist.
Absolutely. Oh, wow. Getting great perspectives from the panel here. So in addition to those great perspectives, we actually captured some perspectives from other leaders at NetInclusion, and you'll see some clips on their perspectives coming up right now.
Great. So my name's Sam Garfinkel. I'm the owner of SLG Consulting. It's my own firm.
So I'm Danny Leopold. I'm a senior director at the Glen Echo Group.
My name is Anya Dixon-Arguello, pronouns she and her. I'm representing City and County of Denver. So I'm with the Denver Mayor's Office, and I am the Digital Equity Program Manager.
James Neal, the Institute of Museum and Library Services. I'm a program officer in the Office of Library Services.
Hi, my name is Autumn Evans. I am the Senior Program Manager of Digital Equity and Inclusion for the Rocket Community Fund.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. My name is Knowledge Build Hudson. I'm a Digital Equity Advisor with NDIA. I'm responsible for the Northeast region as well as the Southwest region, and I'm also the Interagency Liaison.
So my name is Adiyinka Ogunlaga. I am the Vice President of Government Affairs at Education Superhighway. We are a national nonprofit focused on closing the broadband affordability gap.
My name is Ricky Santiago. I'm the Digital Inclusion Manager for the City of Louisville. I work for Louisville Metro Government in Louisville, Kentucky.
Hi, my name is Juliet Fink-Yates. I am the Broadband and Digital Inclusion Manager for the City of Philadelphia.
Hey, I'm Derek Rush, co-founder of the Uhuru Foundation, based out of Charlottesville, Virginia and Richmond, Virginia.
Hi, I'm Catherine DeWitt. I'm the project director for the Broadband Access Initiative at the Pew Charitable Trusts. So who is Pew? If you don't know us from NPR, like my parents do, we are a nonprofit, nonpartisan research organization.
Hi, I'm Joshua Williams with Michael Baker International, where I serve as a planner manager for our broadband and digital equity services team.
Hi, my name is Vinny Scipione, Smart City Manager for the City of Syracuse.
Hi, my name is Blair Wong, and I am the Project Specialist for the Digital Bridge Initiative at the City of Somerville in Massachusetts.
Digital equity means prosperity to me. It's the key to economic growth and mobility. It's the key to the digital world. And the longer that we leave folks out of that, the longer we're going to create bigger disparities between classes. And we don't want that anymore. We want equality and equity.
Digital equity means all the things to me. It truly is everything. It's how we live and work and interact with people every single day of our lives. It's economic opportunities, education opportunities, healthcare access. It's so many different things, and every single person has an interest in helping there to be digital equity, because every single person benefits from there being digital equity.
Digital equity truly is, in my eyes, the great equalizer. It is one of the key indicators of not only success, but just participation in civic everyday life. So it's really integral to all equity work.
Digital inclusion and digital equity are hand in hand the way in which individuals, communities, and organizations can achieve connectivity, can achieve access, can achieve knowledge and skills in digital literacy. Digital equity and digital inclusion leads to digital dignity and digital confidence.
Digital equity means to me that everyone has the tools and the know-how and the confidence to navigate the digital world to create the future that they want for themselves and their families.
So digital equity as well as digital inclusion, to me, so first I want to say that the internet should be a utility, right? I see it as that. And it is a tool or a vehicle for economic development, for upward mobility, for sustainability, for or self-sufficiency, I should say, for people all across the United States and the territories and the tribes. So when we're talking about inclusive, it's to ensure that everyone is included, that we're not leaving anyone out of the conversation, no matter where you come from in the states, territories, and tribes. And the tools that we utilize to do that are access devices, affordable devices, access to high-speed, affordable, reliable internet services, access to the digital skills that will allow you to be a part of the digital economy, right? And you could show up where you are. You can get the device that you need. Also, cybersecurity and the ability to engage with public resources. So to me, those are the things that are required to ensure that you can be inclusive in the digital space.
Digital equity means to me that there aren't barriers to participating in any aspect of civic society, be it health, government, education. Everyone should have that opportunity to be able to pull out a device, get connected, and not face any barriers to that.
So digital inclusion is our approach to the digital divide. It's what we do, our intentionality behind getting people connected to the internet with skills, with devices, so that they can properly participate in the 21st century. Digital equity is the condition, that the benchmark of what we want to see for the community, and having this access to technology and internet and skills so that they can participate in the 21st century.
So digital equity really means that does every Philadelphian, or everybody in the country really, have the exact same opportunities to access the internet, to use a device, and to use it in the way that they find really meaningful in how they use it in their daily life? So it's not just about for a job. It might be using a tool or digital equity for accessing your healthcare provider, or simply doing video calls with your family in another country that may be living in a different place. Having the ability and the confidence to feel like you can use whatever tools you want at your disposal to make the most of your life in the best way that you can.
In the space that we work in that reentry space, digital inclusion, digital equity, as well as digital literacy, is what we feel like is going to even the playing field for individuals who are returning home from incarceration. Technology in general should be used to kind of even that playing field, create equity, so to speak. So we want to leverage technology in order to help individuals bridge that digital divide and that gap, so that when they return home from 5, 10, 15, 20 years of incarceration, they're able to hit the ground running and basically kind of cut that timeline in half of how long it usually takes you to get on your feet, stuff like that, get stabilized. So housing and workforce, so career jobs and technology is what we think is going to help us take that next step in that field to be able to help individuals transition back home, become productive citizens, and then take off on whatever adventure and be the masters of their own destination.
What do digital inclusion and digital equity mean to me? I mean, I think it encapsulates the why of the work that we do. Technology is great. Access to broadband is great. But that's not the end game. We are always about our work is about making sure that everybody can benefit from that technology, from those broadband connections. But in order to do that, we have to make sure that everybody's at the table, that everybody can afford it, they have the skills and devices to use it. And really, I think digital inclusion and digital equity for us is about democratizing opportunity.
So digital inclusion, digital equity, what it means to me is that everybody has access to high-speed, affordable, quality broadband, computer devices, and digital literacy skills that they need to access and wield the power of that access to the internet and the computer devices. It means you know all things digital. You know about AI, you know about Google Workspace, Microsoft Projects, all of the different tools that we have accessible, you have that access. And that's what digital equity and digital inclusion means to me.
Digital equity and inclusion, to me, is providing the opportunity for everyone in our community to participate in the digital economy. So whether it be banking, education, workforce opportunities, all of those things that a lot of us take for granted, being able to allow every single person in our community to participate and perform those activities online.
So digital inclusion means a lot to me because digital inclusion is kind of how my family, when they immigrated here to this country, they were able to use digital inclusion to move forward in life and to build economic stability. And it's something that I've kind of inherited from my parents, and I truly believe that having access to digital inclusion, digital equity, will help not only our generation and the people that are here today, but will also move families along and give them a lot of economic mobility to impact the generations that follow.
All right, so Aaron, I want to talk to you. What do people not understand about digital equity, access, and inclusion?
Ooh, that's there's a lot we're learning from cities, right? And so Patrick talked that the putting sensors and collecting data on mobile city assets is genius. That reminds me.
We're still in that, by the way, Patrick.
Yeah,
that's the best practice.
And that reminds me of those like really creative things that seem obvious when you of course they're driving all over the city, right? And similarly, it reminds me Merritt in Michigan has this genius idea a few years ago of developing curriculum for middle schoolers to learn about digital equity and broadband, and then a homework assignment was go home and take a speed test at home. So all of a sudden you have a couple thousand speed tests from a school district because every single student went home and did that. So I love these ideas that are very doable, can translate to anywhere in the country. Our team, my team at NDIA is focused on data and research. And one of the things that we try to do is support practitioners, so we learn from what others are doing and then try to build tools and resources to help folks do that data collection work on the ground. And Scott, you mentioned earlier, the quantitative data is great, but qualitative data is equally, if not more important. But it's hard sometimes. It takes a lot of effort. You have to get out. You have to be out in the community, and you got to be out building networks and relying on the folks that are doing the work every day. So I think that's a part that sometimes people come to that realization that I can't just sit at my desk and look at census data and speed test data, that I need to be out working with community-based organizations that know their community. And so we really encourage asset mapping and understanding what are the assets that are already in the community that have been doing this work for years. And by this work, I mean, yes, digital equity, but also organizing the community, serving the populations that you want to reach, that have those trusted relationships. And those are not only going to help you connect with those community members, but when you need to do data collection, whether it's for reporting or you just want to know, is what we're doing working? Are we doing what we thought we wanted to do? Those are your biggest allies. So, we focus on the data and research work, but at the end of the day, it's really building those community partnerships and relationships and supporting the work that's already happening in those assets in your community.
It's great. So, folks, you got some best practices here. Make sure you tag City of Portland, and that making sure that they're collecting all data, continuous data, empirical and qualitative. City of Detroit, the imposition of tech hubs and boys and girls clubs across the country and across the city, and other assets. We'll tag City of Detroit and obviously South Bend. That's a great idea, using city-owned assets like solid waste trucks and other to collect and data, real-time data, and then the analysis of that data will tell us a lot. So as we continue, just want to talk about what has this week been for you, right? Coming from Portland, networking with a lot of people here at this fantastic facility here in downtown Philadelphia.
Yeah, it's been great. Phenomenal, I think is the word. Being able to connect with so many people, be able to see the number of people involved in the work. It really can feel like you're alone on the island sometimes. I mean, we got Aaron and we got some good folks in Portland. But
I should say I live in Portland, so I'm biased toward Alonso's work.
But it does feel sometimes like it's a monumental task. It's not an easy thing. It's not an easy lift. And so doing this work and trying to serve, the people in Portland, 600-some thousand people in Portland, and there's a team of three or four, and it's a lot of work. So you come here, you kind of get energized, but you also learn some new amazing things, and you're able to take that back. And I'm still in it too, but take it back and improve on the work, and part of when you're looking at that data, looking at okay, well, what am I not doing? Or what is not working, or what is actually happening with these efforts, and then making those adjustments. And I think when you come here and you kind of have it's a big brainstorm session. You hear new ideas, different perspectives, and you're able to better develop your programming and then go back and keep on doing it. So it's been great.
Christine, what about you? What's this week been like for you?
I think it's just been, exactly what he was saying. I mean, just to sit down and talk. I mean, with the work that we do in Detroit, we talked about a YouTube channel. People said he never thought about that. So they're like, oh, we're going back and doing a YouTube channel. What's on your YouTube channel? So I think, like he said, I mean, we support 640,000 residents. And it's a lot. It's a team of 3. And of course, I have a data team and I got all these digital equity partners. So I think that's one of the things that we did. We decided, we couldn't really reach just us, but we divided up. So we spend half of our day in the office and half of the day in the community. And that's where we split up our work day. So we are out in the community. We have online surveys. We can get real thoughts back. We have a survey when we go out, and we learn that just by talking to other people. NDIA and a lot of organizations have these meetings. You can go online and talk to people all the time, and I like that because we were talking about how do you collect data in real time, and how do you know what the community really needs. So I think for me, just sitting down and talking to people, understanding that I'm not alone in this, because it does feel like you're an island, especially in a municipality and there's so many things going on. People are looking like digital equity, what's that? I get that all the time. What's that? But it wasn't until the other day we did something that we thought was important. We always talk about collecting data. We talk about digital equity and all these different things. But when you talk about the people who need it and how they're utilizing it is where I kind of felt like we were missing it. So what we decided to do was we wanted to make sure that when they went to a location which was considered a tech hub or a computer lab, that it would tell them in advance what the resources were. And it took a lot of work. It took a year of planning. It took a lot of sticky notes. And it took a team. I'm the sticky note queen. By the way, you guys should endorse us, sticky note people. The Post-its, you should endorse us. But it really took me trying to figure it out, like K-12 style, how to make this work. And then a data team who did not think the way I thought. And I really stretched them. And I'm doing a shout out to you, Marty. Marty is a wizard. I call him my Merlin because they took Tableau and ArcGIS and the data and created this interactive dashboard, not only so people could see if they were in a community that was identified as low income or did not have smart devices, but our other one showed you where all the tech hubs are. And then there's icons that tell you what's there way before you get there. If I'm in a wheelchair, I'm a handicap, I need to know before I get there if I can even get in the facility, right? Or does it offer ESL? We have a lot of people in our community. We service Middle Eastern, Bangladesh, and also our Latino community. Everyone doesn't offer services for them. So that was important to me. So when I think about my work, I think about infrastructure because I listen to you guys and I listen to a lot of people. But then I also think about everything beyond infrastructure in the individual home because I always say to people, I'm one person and I'm standing up for 220,000 people who are at or below poverty who need these resources. And that's what my sticky notes are. They're by neighborhood. So I can look at that neighborhood and say, oh, they got a star. What have I done for this neighborhood this week? And then I go out there and talk to them. And that's what I do. I do a lot of community work.
Patrick, what about you?
Yeah, I feel like it's been really well covered. I think Christine and Alonso captured what makes NetInclusion so special very well. I think the only other thing that I would add is that phrase that you find your people NetInclusion, which is something I really love.
It's like a little tribe, like our own little group, right? You feel like, can we get together more often?
Right.
What are you guys doing? We need to get together more than once a year.
Yeah, and I think both there's the kind of like best practices and policy aspect that you have a list of ideas that you want to bring back to your community. I also feel like there's just a list of people that you really want to stay in touch with and keep learning from, which makes this really special.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's jump in there.
Because I don't mean to dismiss the other people in Portland doing the work. Because there is.
Because like there's a whole, like, yes, a lot of people behind.
3 other people, right?
Portland,
We'll shout out.
Let's shout out 3 other people.
So what's been amazing though, like a bunch of cities have like rolled deep, like Portland's a good example, but a bunch of cities like brought like city staff and nonprofits, and I see this
Chattanooga.
Chattanooga
bring like,
came in.
and it's not all one organization, but it's like they'll have like 5 different organizations all show up. Yeah, it's amazing. Yeah. Sorry.
It's interesting though because like the work is enough and insurmountable. So it's funny how we can't connect back at home. Yeah. Right, like we end up meeting here, and Rebecca, who works for the city of Portland, she's the strategic initiatives manager. Hi, Rebecca. She's also my boss. But
Shout out to Boston.
Shout out to Boston. but she made this comment that she's like, it's so weird. I haven't seen many of these people for over a year. And it's funny that we came to Philadelphia to connect.
Right.
Why aren't we connecting back at home? But it's just the work is
so much
busy.
work to do.
I like that you said. I think the same thing in my state. I'm Detroit, but there's one of me in every city, every county, and there's everyone at a state level. And we don't have an opportunity just to talk and figure out what can I lend to you or what can you lend to me, share resources and ideas like what you just said and some of the things you said. But I think I've learned a lot being in the NDIA organization that sometimes you have to reach outside your municipality to really get that support. So I just want to commend you guys did a phenomenal job.
Thank you.
And I utilized your website quite a bit my first year.
It is all the other people at the NDIA team that did amazing work.
So as we go to our final segment and we wrap up here, I want to talk to you about what 2024 and beyond looks like, right?
Yeah.
We're on the precipice of historic funding for digital equity. The Digital Equity Act programs are I guess, starting to roll out, or at least we're waiting on some NOFO and some regulations any day now. But so what does 2024 look like for our digital equity champions across the country?
Yeah, so exciting and busy. We are working with states as they prepare to receive this funding, but then states need to be talking to their cities, municipalities, to local folks, because that's where the work's happening. So there's going to be a lot of work coordinating between the state level, regional governments, local level to get those dollars out into the community and get them in the right place. So I said yesterday in our plenary session, the 47 Trailblazers represent 50 million people, which is mind-boggling. And to see that work happening in just those 40, I don't want to say just, but just those 47 communities, and that just tells you what the potential is for the impact, but the potential in local governments to do this work. And I know you all recognize it. You all are sponsoring the Trailblazer program because you see that value. So a lot of our work is going to be figuring out how do we help get those dollars into communities and help them be used effectively, which means talking to states about how do they implement their plans, helping local governments develop digital equity plans. I want to shout out a couple. The state of Massachusetts has a municipal grant program where they are funding 77 local digital equity plans across the state. Connect Humanity has a grant from the Appalachian Regional Commission to fund 50 local digital equity plans throughout Appalachia. So that is where a lot of our work is we're seeing this huge uptake in not just a digital equity initiative, but staff and plans and really building it into the infrastructure of local governments, which is huge. And that's what you need to sustain the work. So we talk a lot about how do we make this not our moment, but turn this into a movement. And so it's figuring out how do we, the money's coming, that's great, but it's a one-time infusion of dollars, and we need those to turn into the next thing. And so that's kind of what we're thinking about.
Advocacy to action. That's what campaign
totally
means. Yeah. So let's talk about Portland. What's up next, and where can folks go to find out more information about the work that you're doing in the city of Portland?
Yeah, I mean, our website's got some information. Really needs an update. So visit the city of Portland's website. Free Geek has a lot of information on their website, so you can check them out at freegeek.org. And then the Multnomah County Library. Got to shout out the Multnomah County Library. They're amazing, do amazing work. So you could visit them at maltco.us. And I mean, what's next? I think that working on the digital equity plan, trying to really get some of those dollars into our urban areas. I think there's a big focus on rural. It needs it, right? Well, we're not going to deny that. But we also got to recognize that the percentage of the covered populations are more densely populated in our urban areas. And I don't want those folks to go without.
Absolutely.
So, just advocating for that.
Thank you. And South Bend, what's going on? What's next for South Bend, and what does this year look like?
Yeah, so it's an exciting year, as I think it is for all of us. We have produced a digital equity roadmap in South Bend, which is you can find at southbendin.gov/digital equity. And in that, we really set out some goals and talk about some projects expanding our public Wi-Fi, launching some new programs for digital skills and device distribution. But we are also really looking at our state digital equity plan and state BEAD process, we very similarly are really excited to capture some of the funding for our community in South Bend, and especially folks who may be served in terms of broadband access, but whether it's because of affordability or the skills or the devices necessary to use that connection might not be online or might not be able to get online. So we're really focused on mapping our assets, as I know we've talked about, identifying where programs may exist that need additional support or where new programs might need to be created in South Bend. And then also just being in close conversation with our state broadband office. So we've submitted comments as a community. We have a community connectivity coalition. We've submitted comments on our digital equity plan from the state of Indiana, as well as the BEAD process, and just making sure that our community is represented and has a voice in that process has been really exciting and important for us. So a lot to come in 2024, and we're excited for the work.
Absolutely. Thank you. And Christine, what's next for City of Detroit?
Well, we're going to continue our digital equity tour around the city of Detroit. It's a rollout over the year. We're in phase 1 where we just wrapped up ACP. And in turn, we put a lot of our resources on our site. You can go to DetroitMI/digital equity or just Detroit Digital Inclusion. And you can find us. It's really simple, but we've done a lot of great work. And we want to continue that in that space. ACP wrapped up. So what we did is we put a link out there where now you can put in your zip code and find the lowest ICP provider, ISP provider, and then what their up and down speeds are in your area. So we did that to kind of conjure, because it's a lot happening. We want them to still be able to afford to do that. We've partnered with Comcast with the City of Detroit. We're going to partner with T-Mobile. They reached out to us. So we're doing a lot of partnerships, but more importantly, we have this thing called, we're going to launch in March with ready.net. It's called Join the Conversation, where you can do speed test. We want to know what you're thinking. We want to know if you want to be a part of this whole broadband conversation, where you can put in comments and feedback. And we're going to use that for our BEAD challenge. It's really important that they understand, regardless if a municipality is not participating, we still want to know the speed test. We want to know how things are working in your neighborhood. So we're really excited to be partnered with ready.net. We launched that. And it was so funny because we were trying to think about a catchy way to do it, but it's called Join the Conversation. And Join the Conversation is you have to be a part of the conversation in order to fix the problem. And they're also helping us collect demographic data. So I'm going to say, it's great having a partner like ready.net. The team is amazing. And now I'm going to be reaching out to all of you because any resources we have are on our website. You can utilize any of those resources, download them. Feel free to call us if you're not in the state of Michigan. If you're outside the state of Michigan, my data team, they'll be happy to work with anyone's data team to help make those same interactive dashboards available on their sites as well, and our web team as well. So we're all about partnerships and helping others.
I have one final question. All right, this is a surprise question. All right, we haven't talked about ACP. We understand. I know you're doing a lot of advocacy on that, but I want to tie it back in. You talk about partnerships and collaborating with other entities. Are you working well, not at all, or could be better with your state broadband office? How closely aligned are you with the activity?
Talking about this now?
We gotta go with the T.
Oh my gosh!
We're going with the T. I gotta give the people
that is
what
true
they want.
tea right now.
Give the people
Oh my gosh! Are we doing politically correct on this station or the truth?
We always do.
Oh my gosh! Okay, that's.
But I don't
It's
want
end
anybody.
of day 3 of the conference.
I know, right?
Keep it real now.
We keep real.
That's why I phrased it. Could be better. Working well.
Okay.
Or are working well.
I'm glad you started out with Portland.
I'll start with Portland. And if you don't want to answer, that's fine. Look at the time.
Don't we have a flight to catch?
It could be better.
Okay.
It could be better. We have had conversation with them, but there's been some challenges in conversation and trying to understand some of the rationale that is guiding their decisions, and that's concerning. Okay. To say it like that.
All right.
But but we do appreciate that. More recently, the communication's been a little bit better.
Okay. Somebody from OBO was here, so they were at NetInclusion.
Okay. That's a start.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
You got to start. All right.
Yeah, I would say we've had a great relationship with the Indiana Broadband Office. There's a member of the team here as well from IBO, and I think there has been a great opportunity for us to share the perspective of South Bend and make sure that that's represented in the BEAD process and in digital equity, the digital equity plan. But I think we've had a great experience working with them. So.
Well, we work with the state of Indiana. We'll be working with the state of Oregon, so we'll make
Good.
sure that we'll be a benefactor for digital equity on behalf of the state. And so I'm going to put Christine on the spot. I have inside information.
I thought we were skipping.
We're not. We might have to skip Christine. So
No,
Christine,
I was going to say, I think Eric and them at the My office, in the state of Michigan, I have a lot of respect for them, the work that they do. And I know they have some challenges. We're definitely one of the most oddest states because we have a huge population rural. We do farming, but we're also what you call urban strong too. So when you have to split those dollars, and I know we were one of the states that got the largest funding allocated for that, you got to keep the motor city going, right? But then you have a huge farming population that you have to support as well. So, and I do support, definitely what they do. And it's been a little indifferent. Definitely, our mayor is definitely really pushing for us because we have a huge issue in Detroit. We have one of the oldest infrastructure. We had the first cable network infrastructure, actually in the United States, was started in Detroit, Michigan. Shout out Detroit, okay? So that infrastructure is old, and we know we need fiber to compete. We have more Fortune 500 companies populating in the city of Detroit, and our Motor City is no longer Motor City. We're like Motor Tech City. So we need that fiber. But the problem that we're having is that when you look at the rules and the behind that process of allocating funding, we don't meet that requirement. So it kind of puts them in a catch-22. And I know they're getting a lot of pushback. I know, Eric, for me. But I think those guys are amazing. And I know you got a lot of pushback from my mayor. But again, it's been very indifferent. I think
it's a work in progress.
Can I tell you, I can't imagine trying to serve Detroit and the UP and Mackinac Island and stuff that is wild.
Everything
wild, right?
Having been up to the UP, there's places you get to on snowmobile. That's how you get places.
So they're the catch-22 because
yeah.
it's like, who do I serve? And so it's a lot. And I will say this, and that's the reason why it's so important that our ISP providers, and this is one of the things that I said before, if the ISP providers are in a situation where they see a major city like Detroit, not like any other city is not important, but a major city like Detroit, we need to work collaboratively to figure out how to make that work. And definitely some of it should be federally funded, but then some of it should be privately funded because they all benefit. I mean, Little Caesars Arena, kid you not, I mean, they're going to need fiber. Our school districts, our libraries, our hospitals. By the way, we have the two number one hospitals in the country. Okay, I just want to say that. Shout out to my hospitals there. But I just want to say we need that fiber to keep us going in our school districts and also our manufacturing plants. So we're going to work it out. I'm the person.
You're the work it out.
I'm the work it out. I'm going to fix it, and we're going to figure out how to make this work.
Absolutely.
And then I'm going to shout you out, Portland, and see if you can share our experience.
Can I mention one other important partnership?
Please.
It'll be quick. So we're doing a ton of work with Native nations and indigenous communities. So I'm going to give a quick plug because we announced this week that we're going to launch a Tribal Trailblazers program, which is very exciting.
Yes.
But that is a huge priority for us. We have seen amazing, innovative work happening in a lot of the tribal communities that we're working with.
Absolutely.
Every community and state should be reaching out to your, whether it is on reservation or Native nations that are living and Native peoples that are living in cities. But we have seen some really inspiring, interesting work, and we're going to be doing a lot more coming this year. So looking forward to that.
I love that.
Absolutely.
Great job on
Yeah.
that.
And then finally, you announced yesterday the site of next year's NetInclusion.
Yeah, next year. Speaking of working with Native nations,
absolutely,
we will be at the Gila River Reservation in Arizona. It is a quick 15, 20-minute drive from Sky Harbor Airport. So we're excited. Philly is great, but it's going to be warm. We'll be hanging out by the pool next year. So
excited.
Yeah, looking forward to it.
I better start working out right now.
Right.
Trailblazers reception next year will be a pool party.
Exactly. Yeah.
Oh, does that mean we're not getting blazers next year?
I don't think you'll want a blazer next year.
Are we getting T-shirts?
May and yeah, there you go. Yeah, May in Arizona, we're not going to need blazers.
Maybe tank top.
There you go.
There you go. All right. Well, everyone, you can see the conversations are still going. It's still a lot of work to do. But we do want to pause and recognize the work of Alonso and City of Portland Patrick in South Bend, Christine in the city of Detroit, as recognized as trailblazers this year. And obviously, the NDIA is leading the cause for digital equity and inclusion for communities across the country. So we're going to continue the work, we're going to continue the conversations, we're going to continue the networking. But until then, you can find more information about all of these programs at NDIA's website. You can also get resources at ready.net. And for the inaugural season 3 of Ready.net podcast, we are signing off. So until we see you again, be well and Godspeed. Thank you.
Yeah.